All right, everyone, it's Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. It's going to be a great day today. And you know what I just realized, Mr. Anderson? I'm Damon Pistolka. I'm one of the co-hosts here, but you and I, Kurt, are like mixed. I was like, what the heck is going on here? We've done so many shows, and the layout had us on the wrong side. So
kind of like all thrown off, right?
But we're in Stop Being the Best Kept Secret today, and we're going to talk about optimizing manufacturing websites to drive more sales. Kurt, I'm going to let you take it away because we're going to be talking to Judd Lyon here and having a lot of fun.
Man, Damon, I can't, what an appropriate last name, because this guy's going to be roaring today, Damon. I'll tell you, man. So I know, Judd, I'm sure you've never heard that one before, but this is an honor and a privilege. Judd and I connected not too long ago, and he just has a fierce, wonderful passion of helping manufacturers. It really is just a great fit for what we've been talking about here, Damon, for, my goodness, 6 years already. And so, Judd, happy Friday to you, dude. Thanks for joining us. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday to you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on, and I'm super excited to talk shop here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, man. This is our honor and privilege. So Judd, let's, you know what, dude, we're not pulling any punches. We're going to dive right in. We're going to go fast and furious. You sitting down? You ready for this one, Judd?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. Hang on to your desk, dude, because here we go. Judd, when you're a young man growing up, now we're going to cover a few things. So you're coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia. You've got a little bit of Austin, Texas in you. You've got some San Francisco. But if I understand correctly, Salt Lake City might have been in your background. Do I have that correct?
Correct. Yep. I grew up in the mean streets of the suburbs of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Mean streets of Salt Lake City, my friend. So, hey, here's my question for you, dude, Judd Lyon. When you were a little guy growing up on those mean streets in the suburbs of Salt Lake City, say that 5 times fast. Right. When you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who did you worship? Who just showered you with unconditional love? Who was your hero when you were a kid growing up?
Yeah, well, my dad, number one, was sold pacemakers and defibrillators.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and so he had a great work ethic, and it's something that I looked up to as a young man, because he was always traveling and always had dressed well and had a nice car, and I didn't quite put together why, but he always took pride in like having in his profession, and so. It's something that sunk in a little bit more as I've gotten older. So maybe this is a little revisionist history to like dial it back, that I appreciated it then. But it's something as a grown man I've really appreciated, that he took pride in the way he kind of conducted himself professionally and how reliable he was. And so, yeah, I definitely looked up to him. Also, I'm huge into athletics and basketball. So I was of the era, you guys will probably remember Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were that rivalry way back when. So loved those guys. Also loved the Bash brothers on the old Oakland A's of Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire.
Yeah, dude, man, you're running off some good ones. So all right, we'll cover those, and we're gonna. All right, so Dad,
later. Yeah,
what's Dad's name, please?
David.
So, all right. So David Lyon, big shout out to David, and just apple didn't fall far from the tree. You know what, David? I don't know if you notice about like, he's borderline like too good looking to be on the show right now. I'm feeling kind of like he's just such a handsome guy. I'm like, he's really probably too handsome to be on the show with us, don't you think?
Oh my God, I'm gonna turn red, you guys.
So, all right, Judd. So, hey, big shout out to David, and just having a role model, man of integrity, carried himself well, very and cool. Just and you exude the same thing. Dude, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, man, those were like, I know, like anybody under the age of 50, you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Right? Hey, go watch the special that was on the Lakers. It was awesome.
Yeah. Those were that. I'll tell you, that was Magic and Larry Bird, class act, and just those are great times. And then the Oakland A's, the Bash brothers, man. Yeah. Those were some good times too, right?
Yeah, that's actually, I had an aunt who lived in Oakland, and I loved that team. And when my uncle married her, I took a couple trips as a young man out to the Bay Area, and that's really what caught my fascination on the Bay Area. And that's how I ended up out in San Francisco for college. Yeah. Was there's an energy to the Bay that's full of incredibly bright people and absolute weirdos, and it's just and it's just geographically spectacular. So it was just, I always was fascinated with it as a kid, and I ended up there. at San Francisco State later. So that was kind of like the Bash Brothers somehow in a weird way led me there.
Man, what a great and Judd, thank you. That was a perfect segue right into my next question. So, ironically, and we didn't plan this, I was going to ask you, like, hey, what brought you to San Francisco? So, talk a little bit about your academic journey. Again, like, went to college in San Francisco. You ended up at University of Texas. You're Longhorn,
right?
And so,
I got to do the obligatory, hook 'em horns, or I'll get in trouble in the on LinkedIn here.
That's right. That's right. So just talk a little bit like, so young guy growing up, dad's your hero. You've got all these sports heroes. You go into college and you're just super fired up. What were you, what career were you pursuing at that time?
Yeah. So I actually played a year of junior college basketball.
Oh, nice.
And was humbled at a place. It used to be called Dixie. It was kind of a feeder school for UNLV. It was down on the Utah-Arizona border. And I got humbled real quick. There were a couple guys that ended up in the NBA on my team, and it was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be playing basketball much longer. There's levels, in every field. There's levels to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
When you get out of high school, not quite as oh, gee, I'm not quite as good as I thought.
Yeah. College ball is a different animal, and it's
different
like,
level.
wow, the court shrank. Everyone's enormous. But I had a year of that, and then after that, I was very interested around this is right at kind of like turn of the century. Grew up as kind of a late 90s kid when we had if you guys remember really going to date myself here, computer in the family room. Yeah. Shared computer, getting on the internet, waiting forever for something to, for an image or a video to download. And I just loved the internet. It was like cable TV with unlimited channels. And so I was interested in kind of media production. I was into music, video, that sort of thing. And so San Francisco State had a program called Broadcast and Electronic Communication Arts. It's called BECA. I don't know if it's still called that. And a friend of mine from Utah, shout out to Kyle, we said, we're going to leave Utah. We're going to go to the most un-Salt Lake place possible, which is San Francisco. And we're going to move right in the middle of the city. We lived in the Mission and in Bernal Heights.
Nice.
And we went to San Francisco State. So went there and it was all about, we were cutting reel-to-reel audio, and, we had outdated equipment.
Yeah.
Everything was starting to be digitized. And lucky for me, I was right on the heels of the .com blow up. So the money was drying up out there. The hype was dying down a little bit. And I had some amazing instructors, and they said, hey, this stuff's fine and great, but everything's going digital. I promise you, everything's going digital. Learn to write for digital media, learn to produce digital media. Like this stuff, broadcast is kind of on its way out. So anyhow, I had a professor there who told me, he made a joke one day about Texas and about their advertising program. He said, yeah, they've got a great communications program. But then he made a joke about something about cows or something along those lines. And I didn't know. Austin wasn't on my radar at all. I'd never been to Texas. And so, I ended up, one thing led to another. I ended up applying to grad school at the University of Texas in their advertising program, and was fortunate enough to get accepted there. And then went and had an amazing time. And like probably half the people in Austin, you just end up staying because you have too much fun. And you're like, oh, I guess I'll just stay a while. And then, you look up and you've been there 10 years.
That's hysterical. So, all right. So talk about when you slid into web design, and then how did manufacturing, again, it's really a tight niche, right? That B2B industrial spark. What led you there?
Yeah. So the interest in the computers, I assembled a PC. I convinced my dad that I needed a computer that could edit video. And back then you needed, you needed some serious horsepower. And so, one Christmas I put together a PC. I ordered all the parts and, sat there on the carpet like, oh, great. What do I do now? But anyway, it kind of unlocked something. And at the end of the project, I didn't have enough money to buy a copy of Windows. So I ended up installing Linux, and that kind of changed my life. I got used to the command line and started learning about programming. And I was already a big internet fan. So I kind of got excited about it. And then I started freelancing for beer money in San Francisco. Actually, I was built a website for a staffing agency, and we were trying to rank it for, San Francisco staffing agency. And I worked for a pet store. I didn't know what a database was, so I literally created like 2,000 products by hand in Dreamweaver back in the day. So anyhow, I kind of caught the bug in San Francisco. And then when I went to study advertising, as we all entered the job market, everyone wants to work at all the cool ad agencies, and it's hyper competitive. And they said, we want digital skills. And I got rejected at this job, and it really stung. And I remember going outside and kind of like sitting in my car thinking, they said they wanted digital skills. Why? I know how to make websites. I'm never going to be more broke than I already am right now. I'm just going to try freelancing again. And one thing led to another. I had a client someone who actually spoke in one of my classes, who was starting a startup out of his carport at his house, very, very startup type energy. And he asked me, said, hey, I'm not exactly sure what you can do, but you want to come help me? You seem like you're into the internet stuff. And I said, I would love to. And he ended up getting his very bright guy named Jason Renault, and it was called Mind Bites. He actually raised venture capital, and we put together a team, and it was a great formative experience. I'm still in touch with a lot of that team, but yeah, I just kind of went straight out of grad school and started freelancing again. And then I, got a referral here, referral there. And that was 20 something, that was 2007. So we're not quite at 20 years. Yeah. But manufacturing, to give you a long answer to a short question. I got into manufacturing by subcontracting for an agency, and they, this multi-brand company called Promoc, they had a unique challenge that they had a lot of brands, but they wanted to centralize the way they wanted to manage them from in an efficient way online, because it's tricky to manage lots and lots of websites and lots of brands. And so it was through a subcontracting gig. I was a specialist in a particular content management system at the time. And one thing led to another. And they said, yeah, we make these big packaging machinery. This must have been 2010, 2011-ish. I said, yeah, I can build a site like that. Let's try it. And then, of course, I was way past budget and overdue because I got in over my head. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And I said, man, I saw the numbers they were doing. And it kind of opened my eyes to, I'd been working in early stage startups that go out of business change their business model every 6 months. And so, anyhow, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. They've got a lot of revenue. It's kind of this cool behind the scenes. It's kind of like a real life version of watching how it's made. And so it's just like, I kind of caught the bug. And so ever since then, I didn't exclusively do manufacturing since then, but they were a kind of a core client. And I've since then just kind of like kept dialing in a little bit more. I know you're big on preaching, niching down and focusing on that soulmate client or that ICP where you really like drill in, and they kind of became that for me. And so since then I've, really enjoy working with manufacturers.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead. When you're doing stuff with manufacturers too, you said how it's made, the video snippets you can get and the other things of actually watching things being made are just like mesmerizing, and they really capture attention well. And I mean, that's one of the coolest things I think about people that companies that really take the time to incorporate video into their websites. They just grab so much attention with that.
Absolutely. I couldn't tell you how much time I shouldn't say wasted, but maybe was off task. Yeah. I would get a hold of some of the 3D models. Or the videos, they'd send me these huge like CAD files or these big MP4 files. And they say, we've got a new packaging line coming out soon. And they said, we need to get this posted. I would sit there and watch it. And you're right. There's something hypnotic about the repetition and the flow, and then seeing something transform right before your eyes is a really cool thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Judd, that's a classic line, man. I'm totally stealing that next time like if I'm, hey, are you wasting time? No, I just got off task. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Just a little off task. I'm doing research.
I'm just, scrolling for an hour. I just got off task for a second. I'm just kidding. So, Damon, what were you going to add?
No, I just think that, in a manufacturing setting, like you working with a lot of larger manufacturers, and specifically, you talked about the packaging. You know, there are things, the technical people that have to go out and specify and buy that, they want to see that movement. They want to see how things come together. And because they're envisioning it in their mind of what they see a solution being, all the way down to what's the footprint it's going to take, you know, and by giving them more of that visual part of it, they can really understand so much more about the solution that you provide.
Absolutely. And this has always been true, in that you have to have, everyone's a little bit different. There's some that like, you know, PDFs, and they just want spec after spec.
Yeah.
And then there's people who are more visual. There's people who want that interactive experience of like a 3D model. And so, yeah, providing that kind of breadth of, depending on who the buyer is, kind of tailoring, you know, offering that flexibility for how they want to buy, and making sure. And also, these, you guys know this well, in manufacturing, these are large, you know, capital expense.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, he froze up for a second here.
And so these are decisions that are made as a team or by committee.
Yeah.
And so, you know, someone from procurement is looking at a different set of criteria than someone, you know, than an engineer, for, you know, who may be different than the project leader. And so there's definitely this kind of like multifaceted thing that you got to make sure you've got what they need to make an informed purchase.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So Judd, I know you're a humble guy, but if you don't mind, I'm sharing your website right here. And I love this line, but I strongly encourage, again, if you're just joining us, we're here with our dear friend, Judd Lyon. He is a superstar at helping manufacturers with really powerful web strategy, web design. And so, you know, and we've started kind of jumping ahead, covering a little things. One question I'd love to ask Judd is, how do you make the world a better place? So talk a little bit about your approach. We strongly encourage folks connect with Judd on LinkedIn. You can go to his website, simply Judd Lyon, and there's all sorts of great information on your website. Talk a little bit about like how your approach, and I'd love to ask, how do you make the world a better place?
Sure. That's a big question. And one thing, if you were to talk to clients or colleagues, a couple things that are really important to me, and I think sometimes, you know, I'm sure I've left money on the table over the years, but it's one of those things where I can always sleep at night, and I can always, current clients, past clients, it's important to me. You mentioned the word integrity earlier, but one thing, now I'm getting all serious and emotional here with this big question, but one of the things I really try and do much more so, and it's why I kind of label myself more as a consultant, because at some point, I spend a lot of time trying to understand my client's business. And so versus just jumping in and being a solution provider and being a vendor and having that transactional relationship of, you know, go slap together a website, put this, and this, upload this, and we'll pay you this much money. I want to know how the web fits into their marketing strategy. I want to know how the marketing strategy fits into their business strategy. And I really it probably annoys them, to be honest. But I really front load that. And I want to know who the team is, kind of what makes them tick. And one of the things that, you know, in my own humble way of like, you know, out here making a living and trying to help manufacturers is, there's always, you know, I love technology as much as anyone, but it's supposed to help make our lives easier. And it's always a game of people. You know, they say like No Limit Hold'em is a game of people played with cards. I kind of see that with technology and with business. And so one of the things I spend a lot of time thinking about is the composition of the team that I'm working with and what's actually doable and what would actually be helpful given the way their business works. And sometimes you have to just kind of play the hand you're dealt. I know you guys are familiar with sometimes marketing is an afterthought, and in manufacturing companies, which that's another, you know, lane we could go down. I've got some thoughts there, but yeah, a lot of times it's one person, one marketer who's wearing 100 hats. It might be one VP of marketing and then maybe a marketing coordinator, and they're going out to trade shows. And so they got to put things on hold and go do that, which, you know, it's still very much a trade show driven business. And so, yeah, it's kind of like what's practical, what's pragmatic, how can I make their life easier? And how can I help? On websites, we talk a lot about reducing friction. A lot of it's just about simplifying and getting out of the way, making things clear and easy. I try and think about that on the human side and the business side of like, how can we all help each other a little bit and make life a little bit easier? So,
yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So, let's go there. You mentioned, hey, we might talk a little bit more about marketing. Just why don't you go ahead and let's segue right into that.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that's a challenge in manufacturing is that, so I study a lot of B2B kind of SaaS, kind of high tech, and I try and kind of I'm giving away my whole strategy here is I basically study that and try and pluck the best ideas I can find from there. And then I try and apply it in the manufacturing world because they tend to be hyper competitive. It's fairly, they're trying to get little small edges on the technology side and the marketing and the apps and the, automation, all those sorts of things. And they invest heavily in marketing. So it's not uncommon to invest, 10% of your revenue into marketing. I don't know if that's a current benchmark, things are topsy-turvy in the AI world, but like they spend a lot on marketing. They really value marketing.
Yeah.
Manufacturing depends on the company, and it's better than it was several years ago, for sure. Strides have been made, but a lot of times they don't invest in marketing. They think we'll just do a lot of sales. We'll do some trade shows, and then, websites, video, it's kind of like a little bit of an afterthought. So there's a lot of companies that are kind of under investing in marketing. Now, this sounds self-serving because I'm, work with marketers and, this is my world, but I'm sure you see it that, there's a lot of very overworked and kind of underpaid marketing folks that are kind of like fending for themselves a little bit at some of these, and they're frustrated and they're tired. And so I'm always happy and I love to come in and just focus on, let's get some quick wins. Let's get on the scoreboard here and let's focus on what we can do. Let's not worry about, it's easy to recommend hiring more people. It's easier to recommend, you need to upgrade all your technology. That's not the real world. The real world is let's play the hand we're dealt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think it's something that, marketing is about understanding your customers and their pain points and where they are in that journey. And it works hand in hand. It really lays the groundwork for sales to take place. And so I think it's a little short-sighted to underinvest or to neglect your marketing. So I don't know what you guys experience when you talk to people, but I maybe I've just worked with a lot of overwhelmed marketers in manufacturing.
No, and the thing that's really happening too, and we say it all the time, is the younger, and we're saying they're not even that young right now. People in their 30s right now grew up completely digital, high speed, on all the time. They want to be able to find that information. They don't want to talk to a salesperson until they've sufficiently researched a whole bunch about you to go, I think they're the one. Not they're the three, one of the three. They're the one. And if you're not, as you said earlier, supplying that information and giving it to them in the way they want that, they go right on to the next person. I mean, these digital buyers don't go, I guess I got to call a salesperson. They're just going to go down the road and do some more searching until they find another company that can get close to what they need.
100% right. That's exactly what I'm seeing. And that's what I hear. I mean, we've all, like you mentioned, those digital natives have grown up ordering stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
And, it's there the next day and there's no friction. You click a button and it's, whoa, what did I just buy? And so, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm very focused right now. That's a hot topic, is kind of sales enablement. How do you give people the tools and resources? Can you give them calculators so they can, figure out their ROI, configure price quote tools, all those sorts of things that help them buy in the way that they're comfortable with and the way they want to buy, not this kind of top-down approach of first they're gonna, that clean funnel of click, then convert, and these stages of the funnel, that's been just turned on its ear. And it's all sorts of it's saw you at a trade show, then I saw you on a LinkedIn live stream, and then I saw you, then I got an email from you one time, and then I went on your website and used the calculator and whatever. It's a multi-touch, and attribution's a bit of a nightmare. People still try and solve it the best they can, but it's like you're totally right. People want, they're not gonna patiently wait, and they're not gonna get on a phone call with 6 different people. They're not gonna get on multiple calls. One of the things I really, see and believe is, and it's hard. I follow, I have to work on this as well, is we all assume that other people are more interested in our company and our brand or in our products and more invested in it. We're living that story, but they care about themselves. They care about their problem that they're trying to solve. And so you have to frame it that way. That's probably the number one thing I see. Is that you've got to frame it on their terms and their problems and their solutions. They don't really care, they do, but only to an extent of, how long you've been in business or how you stack up against the, or if you have some proprietary language or slang that you use, like they don't,
don't want it.
You use the voice of the customer.
The voice of the customer, man. That's a drop the mic moment right there. So Judd, you're throwing out tons and tons of value here, and maybe we covered this on, hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot. Our manufacturing friend out there, maybe, let's just say, God bless them, their website looks like, a little bit dated, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And they're like, man, I'm enjoying what Judd is saying. I just don't know where to start. What do you say to that manufacturer that just, they're behind the curve? They're like, hey, my bad. I let this slip. Was not a priority, but guess, I lost a big customer, or the world has changed. The buyers are getting younger. What can you give us like a little 101, or like, how can you hold their hand and like bring, meet them where they are, give them like some basic tips?
Yeah, a few. That's a great question. I have kind of a few guiding principles that I think are when I get overwhelmed, that I kind of revert to. And one is when there's too many things kind of, there's this overwhelm from all these AI conversations. There's AI, we haven't even got, the fundamental right. So I think one thing I would start with is take a deep breath, simplify. Nice. And when you're in doubt, keep it human. So if you focus on the people and the process of how information needs to flow, and then not only information, eventually money. I think a lot about those kind of data and money flows. And so one thing that's a concrete first step is to, if you haven't, document who you're targeting in terms of your customers or your prospects. So I think everything, when I study, when I learned from some of these super smart B2B marketers, you guys probably aren't surprised, but it surprised me a little bit how obsessed they are with understanding their customers. And I think documenting that and then figuring out how to map that, I think to your messaging. I think messaging is the number one thing for your website in terms of just being clear. And clarity comes from conversations. So have conversations with, I stole that from someone, I can't remember who I heard that from, but it's really stuck with me over time, which is you probably need to be having more conversations. And so talk to your sales team. They are a gold mine of data, because they're out there on the front lines handling objections every day, and they know the language that customers, and they also sense when there's a shift in the market, because they've got almost real-time data, because they're out there. So talk to your sales team, talk to your CFO, or talk to your financial people, but just have conversations, simplify, and then try and come up with a profile of who is your ideal buyer, or who is it that's going to visit your website. And then just a kind of a simple process map. If you're I still do a lot of pen and paper notes. I use note-taking tools. Cheers.
I got like a full page of notes just from you talking.
Cheers. We should all tap notebooks here. Whatever process works. The process isn't as the the instrument you use, if you like to get on a whiteboard in a boardroom somewhere, or like it doesn't matter. It's the planning that and the thought process of just map out what those journeys and those touch points might look like. I think that's a good foundation. If you really laser focus on who you're trying to serve, some of those downstream technology decisions and some of those things, they don't answer themselves, but they'll put you on the right track. Yeah. And you can afford to get some of those things wrong. If you get your messaging wrong or who you're targeting wrong, you could have the greatest technology on earth and it's not going to matter.
Right. All right. Yeah. Dude, man, Damon, how about a little round of applause right there on that one, man? So I want to recap real quick. And so, Judd, in no particular order, I was just taking notes. I've got number one, take a deep breath, right? Just take a deep breath. You're not behind. Just take a deep breath and, simplify. I thought this number two was maybe one of the most powerful things we've had on here for a while. Keep it human, man. Keep it human, right? Who are you targeting? Map the process, clarity, have more conversations. And then I jotted down, laser focus on who you serve. So again, for our manufacturing friends out there, like, hey, gee, I feel a little bit behind. I'm just kind of getting started, or I'm going to go through a whole new makeover on my website. First, foremost, give Judd a call. Secondly, take these tips right here because these are great. Judd, let's go here for a second. Are there, again, you and I didn't do a ton of prep, so I'm kind of throwing a little curveballs at you right now. Are there a couple common mistakes that you see frequently that maybe you could call out right now? I'll give you a second to kind of like process that question. Things where you're like, our friends out there could be like, and it's not to like point the finger, be guilty, culprit of this. Just like, are there a couple mistakes that you commonly see?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is all in the spirit of improvement and being constructive, and that's why the word when I evaluate sites. I'm not a big fan of the word roast for some reason, because I always think of those like Comedy Central roasts where they just like really skewer somebody. Like, somebody we're all doing the best we can. So like, this is all in the spirit of like, how do we all get better? I have things I can, improve on my site. Like, a couple common mistakes. I just did a study of 159 packaging machinery websites earlier this year. So I recorded a ton of video of me just going through site after site. The number one thing, we already actually touched on it, which is don't have it be a company first framing, have it be your customer, your buyer, your prospect. Frame it in their terms. So that's the biggest thing. That's if you get that right, you're in good shape. Someone described that to me as your website is not a portal to look into. It's a mirror. They should see their problems. They should see their layers. They should look at that and say, yes, I'm in the right place. Yeah. And yes, these people can help me. They've helped people like me before. And this is my world. Those are my problems. I need to get in touch with them versus we've been in business for 46 years and we've got machines that can do 120,000, widgets per second and, yada, yada. Yeah. So that's number one, I would say.
Judd, real quick. I want folks, again, like if you're just joining us, please connect with Judd on LinkedIn. And Judd, I caught this article earlier. So again, if you go to Judd's profile, go down to his featured section. And when you're talking about this article right here, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. And this was a great piece right here. So again, hey, I'm going to subscribe right now, but check out this article right here from Judd. And so I just want to point that out. Keep going.
No, thank you. Yeah, there's a number of mistakes on there. Another easy one is just trying to do too much. Sites that are every page should kind of have a job. Don't have it. It's a very common one, and this is very common amongst engineering types. So it's very obvious when you see a site that was led by kind of like a highly technical person. Is let's list everything. Let's list every spec on this machine. Let's list every customer we've ever had. Let's list every accomplishment. Let's list every single thing, and we'll just give them like this. This will be just a tour de force of 1,000 things, and you think you're giving more, but you're overwhelming people. They get analysis paralysis. It feels noisy. It feels like there's 18,000 things going on. What do you want me to do? What should I focus on? There's the classic. It's an absolutely canonical book in the field of user experience by Steve Krug called Don't Make Me Think.
Don't Make Me Think.
Yeah, it came out like 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure it still holds up. The websites are probably hilarious to look back at, whatever we were doing in 2002 or whatever. But I mean, it's right there in the title. It's like reduce friction, reduce cognitive load. And there are techniques, this may sound a little contradictory to what we were talking about earlier and providing all the different ways people might want, but there are techniques to let that kind of unveil itself or progressively show them that they can indicate and take that path. But trying to hit everybody with everything at once, it's a very common mistake. And it confuses people.
Yeah. Yep. And everybody wants to do it. Like you said, you go into a manufacturer that does 17 different things. They want to put all 17 on their homepage. They want everybody to in a description of each and all this stuff and go, okay, what do you really do? And they go, oh, these three are our main ones. I said, well, maybe we should start there. You can have them all 17 someplace else, but to really give, and I believe Kurt, didn't you put something out about in the newsletter this week? You have 8 seconds or something like that on the website. It's just like super quick. They got to be able to know what you do. Is it something that I want to learn more about? And what's my next step? And it's just like bing, bang, boom. It's got to go that fast. Otherwise 100%. they're going on to somebody else.
Yeah. The data backs this up. One thing that's very common on websites that the kind of conversion data does not support are these kind of like prolonged slideshows where you're waiting. Like we're not going to wait 10 seconds for the next slide. And a lot of times that's multiple, with larger companies, it's different departments who couldn't agree on what should be on the page. So it's like, it's a bit of a compromise that like this group got this group got this, but no one's, the idea that we're sitting there passively and waiting for 8 slides to go by.
Not happening.
That's not how it works. Yeah. It's, am I in the right place? That's a, second or two.
Yeah.
Can they help people like me?
Yeah.
Yes or no? And then, that third one, you nailed it. What action can I take? What step do I do next? Do I click this? Do I fill a lead gen form out? Is there live chat? Like, what is it? And a lot of times you'll see there's 7 calls to action. It's like, which one do you want me to do?
Yeah. It's, man, I tell you, it's so challenging, right? I mean, it's because you sit back and you're like, I think, it's like drawing art, it's like you're trying to create a masterpiece and, a week goes by or a month goes by and you're like, you think you had it nailed. And then you're like, what was I thinking a month ago? Like that, you could drive yourself crazy with it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I think you bring up a good point there. And I'm sure Judd, is that now, it used to be you could build a website, you go 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could build a website and it could stay static for a number of years. Just make sure it's not, dying. Now it's like you got to be doing just like Kurt said, you're re-looking at the way things are talking, you're re-updating imagery, keeping more, just more current all the time with these things. It is not optional. It is required almost if you want to keep people engaged and keep things moving.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's another tip. If I can squeeze a third in here, it's okay to remove stuff from your website, guys. If it's much better because you go to a lot of sites and it's like we need to blog, we need to write articles, and then you go look and they're time stamped, 2019 or 2022. That's hurting you more than just taking them down and saying, you know what, we don't have the resources or the interest or the bandwidth, or we didn't get any traction with those. It's okay to prune your site. It's okay to bring things down. And the flip side to that, Damon, to your point about keeping things current, we mentioned earlier that in manufacturing, or at least in the sectors that I'm most familiar with, trade shows are a huge deal. And so there's always a new event, a new trade show, a new demo, a new... And so, you go to some of these sites that are doing great. The sites themselves aren't doing great numbers, but the companies are established companies and should probably know better. And they've got the show from last summer in their banner.
I just looked at one yesterday that had that.
It's super common.
2025. It's like, why is that still there?
It makes you think. It gives you pause. It makes you, that don't make me think. Like it's almost a little bit of a pattern interrupter where you're like, oh, what's this show? And you're like, oh, Hack Expo 2024. We're in 2026. What's going on here? Like,
dude, you're hysterical. All right, Judd, I know you're super busy. You're helping all sorts of manufacturers with their websites all over the place. We'll start winding down. We could not complete this conversation without saying those two letters, A and I. So talk a little bit about for our friends out there, manufacturers out there, again, if they feel a little bit behind the curve or they're trying to freshen up their website, what does AI, what's going through your mind there?
Yeah, a couple quick thoughts on AI. So one, I'm very bullish and optimistic. It is powerful, transformative technology. But as far as that feeling, that overwhelm or just like the speed of things, there's unprecedented amounts of capital being spent on promoting and hyping this technology. And so there's just we're being bombarded with advertising, with new startups, with new tools, with new, and nobody can keep up with all of it. Nobody should even try. And so that feeling of overwhelm or of FOMO, just pause, relax. It's going to be fine. So just we can start there. But yeah, in terms of the way it can help you on your website, I was an early adopter in the beta of a tool called Claude Code from Anthropic. This changed the way I work. I mean, it's really powerful. I just laugh at some of the stuff that we can do now that takes 3 hours now that used to take me, no joke, 30. And it wasn't like I could work 30 hours straight. That was 30 hours over, 2-3 weeks type of thing. And so, yeah, it's amazing. But in terms of, I'm a big, when I said simplify earlier, I'm a big back to basics person. Mm-hmm. And so the basics or the fundamentals of AI I'm also a big RTFM guy, which is read the bleeping manual. So get back to basics. Anthropic has wonderful documentation. OpenAI has good documentation. Gemini on the Google side. It's worth it. Just spend an afternoon, spend an hour, and go look at the documentation and just learn the fundamentals of what a large language model is. You don't have to get in the weeds in the computer science. I'm just talking about like practical, everyday stuff about how to write prompts and how to generate an image, like those sorts of like building block tasks. And then as all these tools and all this turbulence, happens over the next few years, those solid basics, those fundamentals, the tools change, but the principles really don't change that often. And so I think just committing to be to a little bit of self-education and just kind of calming down and just saying, all right, let me just learn the fundamentals, and then use them to edit some of your copy, but don't outsource your thinking to these tools. Keep it human.
Yeah.
Drop the mic. Don't outsource your thinking, man. Man, I tell you, dude, this was a masterclass. Damon, thoughts, takeaways. What stuck out to you today?
It's just great to talk with you, Judd, and learn from someone who's really making a difference with these manufacturers and just their digital presence, right? Because when you look at a lot of manufacturers' websites, they're so underwhelming. And then you visit these places and you go, this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing what they do. And it's great that you're helping people really show their true selves to the world.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I think I can speak for a lot of people in your guys' audience. I know you've got a lot of fans and kind of folks that keep up with you guys, but your enthusiasm for manufacturing and your consistency to be out here kind of beating that drum. I know it has made an impression on me, and I know it resonates with a lot of other people. So I just, wanted to thank you guys for the chance to come on here, and look forward to following, future conversations.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Judd. Man, I appreciate that, dude. So I've got 2 questions that we're going to close out with. So, man, again, shout out to Dave. What a great role model your father was. Guy is, integrity and what he brought to you. Man, what a great session this was. Yes. Here's my question, Judd. Best business advice. You're an entrepreneur through and through. What's the best business advice that you either wish somebody shared with you earlier or that you'd like to pass along to a young person out there just starting out?
Yeah. This one will seem a little silly, but the more I've thought about it, the older I've gotten, I'm like, wow. And I heard my dad of all people, who was not an entrepreneur, but he blurted this out, which is buy low, sell high, collect early, pay late. And it's really boils it down to you need margins in any sort of business. I don't care what you're doing. You need to, you need a profit margin or you're going to be done. And the second thing, which I learned some tough lessons early on, sometimes I still have to learn these lessons years later, which is that second part. Of course, you shouldn't be paying late, but like cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you have revenue doesn't mean you're doing great. And so that very compact, like kind of jokey, almost, I don't know, it's not a poem. I don't know what you would call that thing. Proverb, something. Yeah. That thing kind of, you need margins and you need cash flow. And if you've got those, then you can solve some of the other problems.
Yes. Yes.
Gosh.
Great advice. Great advice.
Drop the mic. You know what? I've heard the buy low, sell high. I've never heard the collect early, pay late. That is absolutely brilliant. Kudos to your dad. And, and like you just said, it's getting the margins and cash flow. Margins, cash flow. If you don't have those two things, you're just, unfortunately, you're not in business. So, all right. Phenomenal. Judd, one last question for you. You mentioned you were a JUCO basketball guy, right? Did I hear that correctly? Correct. Were you a baseball fan by any chance?
Little bit. I used to be more so than now. I'm out of it nowadays. But yes, I grew up playing baseball and
you mentioned McGuire and the Bash brothers, so Oakland. So I have a little baseball question for you. You ready? You sitting down?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Damon, you ready?
Yep.
All right. The Oakland A's are playing the dread. Well, are they Oakland anymore? Are they moving out of Oakland?
They're moving. Yeah, they're going to be in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So, all right. So the A's are playing the dreaded, hated. Who do they hate the most? Let's say the Yankees. They just hate the Yankees, right? So the Oakland A's are playing the Yankees. It's a bottom of the ninth tie score. Okay. There's a guy on second base. You with me, Judd?
Yeah, I'm following.
Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, guy in second base. The manager of the A's turns down the bench. He says, "Hey, Judd, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up there and hit in the winning run. We got to get out of here," right? You grab your helmet, you grab your bat, you're walking up to the plate to hit in the winning run for the A's to beat the dreaded Yankees. On your way to the plate, what's your walk-up song?
Oh my gosh. What's my walk-up sign?
What's your walk-up song?
Oh, my walk-up song. Gotcha. You know what? I would probably play. I'd probably play "Tear the Club Up" by 3-6 Mafia. But I think it would probably be, let's just say we'll play the beat. We'll just play the beat because the lyrics were probably not going to be.
The lyrics aren't going to flash. We're just going to go.
The lyrics aren't going to work, but the beat.
Yeah, something with a beat.
All right, awesome, great answer, dude. So, all right, so we got you on that one. So, Judd, as we close out, first and foremost, a heartfelt thank you. I know how busy you are. We don't take that for granted. Take that lightly. Thank you for sharing your time, your energy, your passion, your expertise today. Just a huge, huge heartfelt appreciation to you. How about a big round of applause for Judd joining us here today? Everybody out there, if you're catching us live, you're catching us down the road, do yourself a favor, connect with Judd. He's putting out some great posts on LinkedIn. Guy of integrity. He's fun, great family man. He has all sorts of wonderful information. Damon, anything that you want to share as we close out?
No, just thanks for being here today, Judd. It was a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah, likewise, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on here and look forward to following you guys on your future combos.
Well, thank you, Judd. And again, if you guys have any questions on websites, Judd is your guy to reach out to. And hey, as we close out for the weekend, and hey, we're losing an hour this weekend, Damon. I don't know where we're going to find that hour, but we're sneaking, we're jumping out ahead, we're springing ahead for an hour.
Yeah.
But as you close out, do all of us a favor, go out and be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Judd was for us today. And you too will make the world a better place. So guys, we will catch you next week. Thank you. God bless. Damon, close us out, my friend. Judd, hang out with us for 1 minute.
All right. Thanks everyone for being here. We could see you out there listening. We had a comment in here today earlier. Thank you so much for dropping the comment. We will be back again. And as Kurt says, go out and be awesome this weekend. Thanks everyone.